How's it going, people? Hope you're well. Big up to every single one of you. 12th man is back. The channel's back. Weekend preview is here. We're going to be talking about Man United and Aston Villa. Going to touch on Arsenal, Liverpool, and Chelsea as well. First thing to do, people, is hit the like button. Big up to every single one of you that's come over from Saeed's channel. Much appreciated. Love for that and love to Saeed. Please, once you've hit the like, hit the subscribe. We hit 25k yesterday, people. So really, really happy to do that. Make sure that we
geez, congrats, man. Congrats.
Cheers, bro. Appreciate that.
Yeah, man. You thoroughly deserve, man. Hey, W's in the chat, fire emoji, smoke them. We ain't just gonna bypass that pot style. Like that's
the way you said that,
yo, I know it's blasé for you because you out here doing big numbers, but we still gonna celebrate that. So congratulations.
Yeah,
thoroughly deserved, man. Road to 30k and so on. We ain't just bypassing that, yo. Hey,
love,
chat,
man.
Salute Pots, man. Big up, man.
Thanks for that, Flawless. I appreciate that, bro. And cheers for everyone that's supported, man. I do appreciate it. Yeah, hit 25k. Amazing. Got to try and get to 30 now. So big up to all of you, man. Today I have Flawless, as you know, Billy, as you know. Dan is here as well, and of course we've got Roms talking all things football. Lads, we can't really go anywhere without this Man United Villa fixture and this Ten Hag situation. I know Flawless don't want to talk about it anymore. I think he's done it to death, but if I'm honest with you, it's got to be done. I don't see the point of keeping Ten Hag for this Villa game. Why are they keeping him? What is the actual point? We know he's no good. If they get a result against Villa, draw, win, whatever, that just keeps him here longer and United fans are done. They're finished with him. Like, why are we keeping this guy here? It's just weird for me. I want him to stay because I'm a gooner, but let's be real. It is pointless keeping this guy here. Last night proved to me, the weekend before proved to me, midweek before proved to me, and the weekend before that proved to me. This guy is no good. Why are we still keeping this guy here? This guy spent the most money, other than Chelsea, since he's been here in 3 seasons. He's got no style of play, and he is playing, in my opinion, the players that he selected, and we still don't understand what he's doing. And every time you speak to this guy or this brother gets on the mic, we stick to the plan. We stick to the plan. Does anyone know what the plan is? Nobody understands what the plan is, but we're supposed to be sticking to it. I can't see anything, Flawless. I don't get it. And I don't understand this Jim Ratcliffe brother coming out today saying, well, I don't care. It's up to the other guys I put in charge. Like, well, hang on a minute. Ain't you supposed to be the club you want to bring back and Jim will fix it and all this rubbish that we heard over a few
Did he actually say that? Like, maybe not word for word, but along them lines.
We think he's a very good manager, and it's not up to me. It's the decision with the other guys, Barada and Ashworth and all that. And the man sitting there with yachts behind him and then the sun's in the sunshine while he's doing this interview.
Do you know what, Dan? Yeah, he's at the helm, and this is why it's so hard to cook Flawless, because Flawless has wanted this guy for the longest.
Yeah, he's real with it. He knows it, man.
It's coming up to maybe a year and a half ago. So this isn't directed towards Flawless, and Flawless is the only one that has really called out in this, because whenever all United fans saying we've won the transfer window, we've made good signings, which they had. I'm not going to lie, they made decent signings in the summer. Flawless was the first one that I heard say, Ineos are complicit in this, because mistake number one, their first decision they got wrong in keeping this guy. Obviously, we love it as rival fans, and jokes aside, he's gone in this international break. I think regardless of the result of the weekend, for me, he could win 4-0, and I still think I think they're actually going to pull the plug this international break.
Also, you think if we win that they pull the plug, they still pull the plug
regardless of the result, bro. I think they pulled the they pulled the plug for us.
But if they're gonna do that, they should do it now and hope for a new manager bounce in the Villa game. You'd think, surely.
Of course.
What's the point in waiting until after that game?
But you're asking the people to be competent, which they've shown they're not. That's why. That's the sensible decision, Billy. That makes all the sense in the world. Why are you waiting for the Porto and Villa games to lose to then go, hey, let's get rid of this manager? Incompetence. That's why they're doing that. Shouldn't have got the new deal, but hey, we move. Go on, I say what you're saying, Rums.
Listen, I couldn't believe what I was hearing from Jim Ratcliffe. I thought it was ridiculous. The guy couldn't be less bothered in if he tried. Like that would have infuriated me as a Man United fan. Like if that's Josh Kroenke coming out doing that, or if that's anyone from KC, any board member coming out going, yeah, I think he's quite good, but if they don't like him, then they'll have to decide to get rid of him. Hang on a minute, like show some passion, show some desire, show some drive for your football club that you want to take back to the top. Actually talk from the heart and actually decide. Don't just shrug your shoulders and go, sorry, you've disturbed me from getting on one of my yachts in the sunshine. Like that's what the interview looked like, man. It was just embarrassing. Like honestly, I thought it was. I couldn't believe.
I'm gonna watch it after this. I'm actually gonna go watch it.
I've not watched it. I've seen the quotes and what he said, and what he said is correct when he's talking about Barada and he's talking about Ashworth, yes, it is their decision. However, you can influence their decision as well. You can give your thoughts on the situation. But I like Ratcliffe from the jump. The fact that you care that much about Manchester United, but you're willing to work with the Glazers is red flag number one. That's common sense. As bad as the reason why Manchester United are in such a state that we're in, that Ratcliffe spoke about, is on them. When he spoke about Manchester United being so far away from the top on and off the pitch, that's on them. And then you go and do a deal with them. Yes, you did well in regards to who you brought in, but they're showing their incompetence too. Rams mentioned it. I mentioned it. From when they gave Ten Hag a deal, I was like, all right, you lot don't know what you're doing. And even the whole way they went about the managerial run as well, got interviewing Tuchel. He was just deemed not good enough for Bayern Munich. Get a manager that's like doing a good job at his current club. How about that? Why you getting a manager on the downslide? Yeah, go on.
That speaks volumes, bro, because the fact they were even interviewing other managers, they deep down know Ten Hag is that guy. And what's worrying as well, Flawless, is that the difference between Woodward and whatnot, and you lot were saying they're bankers and went to the same uni and whatnot. The difference with your Baradas, your Wilcox, your Ashworth, they've got previous in football of being competent football men. So the fact they've all combined to make this dreadful decision to keep him on, it's crazy. And this is why I genuinely believe, like I said, regardless of the result, and I agree with you, Billy, I didn't even look at it from that perspective. You might as well just pull the plug now, give Rude, even if it's just a one-game job on interim, you might see a spike. Because the thing is, I hate to say this as a Liverpool fan, this season is still salvageable for Man United. It's still relatively early. It's still salvageable from Man United. But that's why they should probably pull the plug earlier. And maybe, let's say they kickstart their first game against you lot, Billy, and then after the international break, carry on with a new manager. I didn't see it from that perspective, but I think he's gone regardless now. Of course, I would love him to stay, but it's enough's enough. And you see their expressions in the stand and whatnot. They've had enough. And they deep down knew from the start this guy wasn't the guy. Because when I'm hearing that they're interviewing several managers, you just settled. You literally just settled. It's as simple as that.
Literally settled, yo. That's what it was, man. Literally, like, what kind of rubbish is that? At Manchester United, and you settle. And that's an eye-opener as well. The fact that they did the whole, we can't find anybody better. So we're just going to stick with the fact that you can't locate a manager and that's better than him is eye-opening too. That's the craziest part. You have all the resources, and so clearly you are incompetent and not up for the job as it is. But I've been saying the same. I'm repeat. I don't even need to turn up to shows no more. I could just send in pots. You know what I'm saying? The video is the same thing. It's just insert player name here, insert team name here, who are United playing, and it's the same thing over and over. I've been saying this for the longest, and this is why I wasn't on the Ineos hype. Yes, they did good things in the window in regards to transfer. I like the incomings. The outgoings was good. Most money we've ever made, all well and good. But from when you kept the manager, I wrote off the season beforehand. Said it. I see everyone. I see all of you lot 2025/26, but the season is still salvageable. We weren't going for the league anyway. We're only a couple points off top 8 in the Europa League. The FA Cup's not started yet. You're through to the next round of the Carabao Cup. So all the trophies and anything you could do this season is still there. But
what do you want to see happen though, like Flawless? Because like a lot of people are saying, Rude will get the job and all that. I kind of feel like that's like an Ollie move, if I'm honest with you. I might be wrong. Maybe Rude will take you forward and wow, it would be amazing. But I kind of feel like he's had a management job for a bit and it looked okay, and now he's come in. Clearly, it's probably going to be him. But would you not rather go for a manager that has a CV that says I can win things? Because this side, as much as I don't think it's outstanding, definitely ain't a 14th place side, bro.
Like where we are, we 14th.
Wherever you are, something like that.
You don't even check the table, innit?
You check the table, yo.
What's
I just
the
get
point,
told
though?
every now and again that, yo, I just know that we're not high. That's what it is. I see the first page and I'm like, all right, we're not on there. But Rude, like from an interim manager perspective, yes. I think that makes the most sense because the manager that, if you're talking about going to get a manager with a CV, getting a manager with a CV in October, I don't think it's the best move for the manager, and I don't think it's the best move for the club either. So you get Rude to the interim, and then you have ample time to go and select whoever the new manager is, and sit down with said new manager and discuss what the plan is. What players are you looking to bring in? What players do you want to keep? What players do you want to get rid of? Common sense. But I said all this in the summer just gone, that's what Ineos should have done, and they didn't do that. So why do I have faith that they're going to do it now? I hope we go and get a manager of quality. Do we do that? Who knows? But yeah, I think Rude as interim makes sense, and I think Manchester United will play better just because of this dark cloud that Ten Hag is. It's like when you play Mario Kart and you know you got the cloud over you. That's what it feels like in Manchester United. So it's like that's what it genuinely feels like. So I think it's just gonna be morale boosting because everybody's miserable. Nobody looks happy. Everybody's miserable. He sounds miserable. He looks miserable. The players does. Everything's just said this. Everything's just ugly about Manchester United. Everything. There's nothing nice. The football's ugly. Attitudes. Everything. We just give up in games. You got the captain chucking it in, trying to duck tough ties, but people don't want to talk about that. The whole nine.
Facts, man. Let me ask the panel this, right? Let me go around one by one. Imagine you're a United fan, right? I know it makes me feel sick as well, but just imagine you are. Where are you going with this next move? Like, what would you like to see happen? Billy, I'll start with you because a lot of people are saying, oh, it's Rude, Southgate's being mentioned, all this stuff. But actually, there's some managers out there you could get, I think, anyway. But what are you saying, Billy? What would you like if you were a United fan to happen right now?
I really don't know. I think I'd be in that situation where I really don't know what the best move for the football club is. And as an outsider looking in as well, I really don't know what the best step would be for Man United because they've gone through the experienced managers. They've gone through a couple of inexperienced managers and they're at the same place. I really don't know what their best next step would look like. I think probably the best thing would be to give it to Rude on an interim level. But are you then going to get caught in an Ollie situation where he starts to do well? You think, yeah, let's give him the job. And all of a sudden it goes exactly like it was with Ollie and players start to down tools a little bit, chill out. Right. This is how it is. Happy days. And Bosh, that's another one that eventually will just peter out into nothing. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's really hard to kind of come up with an idea of what is the best.
If they do that, right, they get Ruud van Nistelrooy. For me, they have to make it very clear. You are not going to be appointed. You are here to get us out of the mess. You're going back to number 2. And we are going to get the guy in, and it needs to be an Allegri or somebody like that, in my opinion, that has a CV that says I win things, and I can tear this up, and I can get this toxicity out, and get the mentality that is winning, like I did at Juve, and go from there. Yeah, whether it's Tuchel, Allegri, whoever it be on the CV that you like, Simone Inzaghi, whatever. But that's fine for me. But if we just go Ruud van Nistelrooy, he's doing quite well. Now we're in an Ollie situation. We can't really get rid of him because he's a legend at the club. I just think they're going back to that again. So I think it needs to be very clear.
I think that's the danger you have when you appoint Ruud as that interim manager, because if he does go on that winning streak that Man United fans will obviously want him to go on, you're then in that situation of shit. What do we do here? Do we go down this potential Ollie route, or do we pull the plug? Possibly upset fans.
They can't get caught up in that. That's what it is. They have to be on a trial basis, and it's like if he does fantastic well, don't offer him nothing till the end of the season. Let the season play out.
Well, yeah.
Don't jump the gun.
But if you do go on that run to that point, and then the players stick with him, we don't know what's going on. Season comes round or season ends. I don't know. I just feel like there's so much in the dressing room with the bad blood and the things like that, the bad characters, that if that does happen, and even if you go on to get Champions League or Europa League or whatever, a good standard of finish for where you are at the minute, I think if you get to that point and you don't immediately get those players out of the club, you could still find yourself in that Ollie situation where the players are, right, thank God that season's over, we can chill again. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I just think it's a really awkward situation that United find themselves in, and I can't see it winning either way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, what are you saying, Dan?
I find it so tough as well, because I feel like United have kind of gone for the hire and fire thing over the last sort of 10 years since Fergie left. And I don't really think they've excelled in the way they thought they might. And I also think there's still the lure and the shadow of Fergie. And I still think they are dying for someone to come in for another 10, 15 year stretch and manage the club and take it in that direction as well. To be honest, the only name that really appeals to me as a Manchester United, if I was a Manchester United fan, would be Simeone. He's the only one I think that I'd want in. I just feel like it brings a bit of fight back to the club. I think he brings a level of standards that I believe Manchester United should withhold. And I just think, other than that, I just think too many managers just don't fit the bill. And Simeone's the only type of manager I can picture in my head that if he's questioned by legends and he's questioned by fans, he'll turn around and tell him to do one, and he'll stand there and he'll do his job. And I think Manchester United have the pedigree to go one step further than Atletico Madrid, and I always felt like he could do with a bigger job than Atleti. But that's just me and my personal choice. But I don't see anyone out there really that, like, what's Allegri going to do for Manchester United? They've had Mourinho. They could go after managers in the past, and they still haven't really been anywhere near where they were. I almost feel like David Moyes was like the right manager at the wrong time, because I feel like if he'd been given more tools, potentially a few years down the line, without being in the shadow of Fergie like the next manager on, he might have fitted what the club was about. But now Manchester United are a club for me that are just in such a weird place. I really don't know. I don't think their fans really know what they want, to be honest with you, as a whole. I think you'll speak to individuals and they'll have an idea, but as a consensus of a club, I feel like it's very split because of what's happened in the last 10 years since he left.
What are you saying, Roms? Do they need an interim and then someone take the job, or do you think they should just give it to someone now that's actually got a CV that's good?
I think what the rest of the lads said, maybe interim, but knowing that you're not going to get the job permanently. But I've got a little bit of a different take to the rest. I would probably want someone that has more of a aesthetically pleasing identity. And the reason why I say that is because you're not, even if you go back to Louis van Gaal, your Mourinho's, your Ollie's, none really actually tell that Van Gaal did, but the rest didn't really have that appealing style of play. If I was United, and I know a lot of people say we're big Man United, they might not be able to handle the pressure, but I'd look to managers like your Ruben Amorim's, your Thomas Franks, your Marco Silva's.
That's who I want.
Literally for us, because I feel like
Amorim would be a great shout.
Your squad right now isn't good enough to win a league, probably even in the next year or two. So getting a manager now that will implement his style, because this other myth that United don't win trophies, I think since Fergie, you've won everything bar the big two. So they still picked up trophies in that time. So get them in for a year or two, win the odd domestic cup, maybe a Europa League. And then once they bring the squad, once they get the squad back to where it wants to be, and challenging for maybe on a summit of Prem and Champions League, I know it's cutthroat, then give it to a Zidane or Allegri, where they don't like projects. They like already made teams. That's why when United fans say bring in Zidane, it's like, you do realize that Real Madrid team was already stacked. He had all them players at his disposal as he went in. So I feel like get maybe a more project manager for a year or two, then bring in the big name. Because like Billy and Dan were saying, you've already had the big names. It hasn't worked. You had the Mourinho's, you had the Louis van Gaal. So I say you reset again. I know it's annoying resetting again, but a year or two, then get a big name in maybe year 3 or whatnot. That's what that's the road I think Ineos should go down.
And that's it. That's the way that it is, depending on who the manager gets. Like the hire and fire thing is the way of football. Outside of Manchester City, whether it's in Europe, you look at the most successful teams, it's hire and fire. Like I've heard this argument before where people are just, oh, you can't keep sacking managers. Yes, you can. What are we talking about here? You do keep sacking managers until you find the right one. What is the point in sticking with a manager who's not good enough? The previous managers, despite all of the off-field stuff, none of them previous managers we've had are good enough. That's why none of them have done anything of note since they left. Moyes ain't done nothing of note. Mourinho ain't done nothing of note. Van Gaal ain't done nothing of note. All he can't even get a job. So why is it? But it's always with Manchester United. Oh, look at the previous managers. No, you know what I'm saying? You keep hiring and firing. How many managers have Bayern Munich had in the past 10 years? Chelsea. All right, Liverpool are the anomaly, as are Manchester City, Real Madrid, who everyone says are the standard. How many managers have they had in the last 10 years, last 15 years? You have to be successful or you keep it moving. We are not in the early 90s anymore. This ain't the early 2000s no more. It's 2024 where managers get sacked if they are deemed not good enough. Chelsea are one of the most successful teams in the last 20, 25 years. I'll just say the Roman era. How many managers did they sack it? Like, how many managers did they hire and fire? Keepers like, oh, no, well, because with Manchester United, everything is over-exaggerated, in my opinion, when it comes to just general consensus. Back in, Van Gaal and Mourinho weren't successful, but they ain't been successful since. It's not like they've gone on and won a domestic league in a top European country or won a Champions League, so they were not good enough. Yes, well, it's a tough job. Yes, it's not ideal, but we are looking for the top 1%. Because Manchester United's aim is to go and win the big two, like you mentioned, Rums. And most managers are not good enough for that. 99% of we are looking for the unicorn.
But
which we've had before.
It's also patience, bro, because then you get the United fans that are too simplistic and they just look at things small-minded, where it's like, no, but we're Manchester United. We can't get them managers to maybe go one step back, 2 steps forward. We need the cream of the crop. But then you show them the previous where you already got the cream of the crop and it didn't work. And I think you're spot on. Long are the days where you get managers staying 8-9 years plus, your Fergies, your Wengers. Klopp to an extent because he was at us 9 years. I think Arteta and Pep
he's
the last ones left.
To the rule. Yeah, like he's an exception to the rule. Pep. I mean, not Pep, sorry. Well, Pep and Klopp. But guess what? Klopp was successful. Pep was successful, which warranted their stay.
And that's why even so many that Arsenal fans are slightly growing impatient with Arteta, because I think he's the second longest reigning after Pep now, with coming on to his 5th year. And the longer you stay, especially if you're top 6 and not Spurs, but you get the gist. Especially if you're a top 6 club, you have to be winning trophies. Especially if you stayed for that. No, because whenever everyone's top 6 and you think of trophies, then you just think not Spurs.
That's welcome on here, man. That's welcome on here. Keep it.
That's
up,
terrible, man. That's terrible, man. That's terrible. But yeah, like that's what it is, and what Ineos need to do. Because you mentioned the fans, and you're right. Because you got fans who are way over the top, way emotional, and Manchester United have a worldwide fan base. Ineos, how about you? I say this all the time. F the fans, including myself. How about you do your job? Yeah. You do your job. You don't need to worry about what the fans think, because if you make the right decisions and we're successful, the fans are gonna love you. That's all it takes. You want most of the fan base, 99.9% of the fan base to love you. How about make Manchester United successful? And then everybody shuts up, because you can say, we've won this, we do this, we do that, we play this good football, we get good results all the time. All this extra stuff. People put too much credit. Fans wrote a letter to keep this guy. That tells you where you're at with this fan base. Don't pay no attention to them. This man wrote a letter for him. 8th place,
Do you know what Florida's do? Ineos turned into fans. They fed into the sentiment, because as much as they were interviewing other managers, they were like, you know what, that FA Cup, he did win us a trophy. You know what I mean? They turned into fans themselves.
I'm like, what? Are you supposed to be sensible people? Yeah, go
on. How much have you wiped your hands of Bruno, by the way? Like, what's going on with this guy? This guy
long time ago. I don't even feel vindicated. I've been saying this. I've been content creating probably about 3 years. 3.5 years, 4 years. Been talking about Bruno for pretty much all of it. I've been saying how this guy's over, and I was told, "Oh, where would you be without him? Best chance creator, gets all these goals and assists." Nonsense. And on top of that, you're as Munt says, man, you're bad with an attitude. How are you ugly and rude? Like, what is going on? He don't even apply himself. And I used to try and defend him in regards to when he used to miss games, and people would say, "Oh, did it happen on purpose?" He chucked at Spurs. He chucked it in. We were getting battered, didn't want to be out there, so puts in a daft challenge, and also didn't want to play Villa away. We're playing Fenerbahce away in the next Europa League game, you get booked on purpose. I'm saying Anfield away last season, you get booked on purpose. If this was certain other players, it'd be a whole different conversation. But I was told he's captain material, dies for the badge, gets the club. He's an embodiment, and he's a symbol of Ten Hag's reign. The fact that he made a man captain who does that tells you all you need, because I've never heard that ever. I've never seen that where a player's been accused on multiple occasions now of getting booked on purpose to miss certain games. Never happened. And I've seen players get suspended on a regular basis. It happens season in, season out, where you might miss big games on accident. But he ain't trying to play Fenerbahce away. Didn't want to play Villa away. Didn't want to play Liverpool away last season. And that's the captain. And you can tell by his playing style that he's that type of character. Even the challenge yesterday, do I think it was a booking? No, I genuinely don't. He didn't touch him away. But you play stupid games, get stupid prizes. That's legit what it is. And I've been tired of Bruno. And now all of a sudden now all the other scapegoats and everyone wants to blame people like Sancho and blame Martial and blame all these other players and Pogba. Now they're all gone. Now you're one of the longest reigning players here, and everyone, bar a couple, bar Rashford, everyone else is new. So now everyone's looking at you and can see, and even the goals and assists have dried up. Still ain't scored. What is it? More red cards than goals.
Do you know what, Flawless, as well, yeah? Do you know how it's evident he's not captain material? Because certain people might think I'm going over the top with what I'm about to say. But have you lot all seen Højlund's post last night?
Yeah, I did see it. Well,
if that's a captain you respect, you're not even putting that on your socials. I was just about to say, imagine that in your Invincible side, Potts, or with Roy Keane when he was captain. Obviously, it's different. There was no social media just then, but you'd be so fearful of what your captain's going to say, you wouldn't even feel the need to post something like that. I mean, you've just should have lost the game, just scraped a draw, and you're saying, at least I could practice my 6 months. I've been practicing my 6 week celebration. It's like, and your captain stands for this. You feel that you're allowed to post stuff like this. I know some people might say I'm going over the top, but this is evident that a captain is feared and respected wouldn't have something like that. So it's not even just on the pitch; it's off the pitch for me as well. And yeah, man, I've never really rated Bruno. I'm going to be so honest with you that, yeah, his numbers, his first 18 months, I think you'll be an idiot to say it wasn't impressive. It was, but his other facets of the game, I've just never really been impressed by it. And it's like I'm doing that with Szoboszlai now. I have the same energy for my players because I think Szoboszlai is another one. I know he's been here way less than Bruno, only a year or two, but I can see him going down that same road. But the difference is he's not coming with numbers. Bruno actually had numbers to kind of save him. He had credit in the bank his first 18 months because even if you didn't agree with the performances, the stats backed him up. Where Szoboszlai, he doesn't have the performances. Sorry, I know we're going to speak about Liverpool later, but it's just an example of me still having the same energy for my players. But I've just never really rated Bruno. Their IQ's just not there. He's doing things when he doesn't need to do it. And like you said now, Flores, but he doesn't really have any temperament. He's never had temperament, but now it's got even worse. It's gone from like a 7 to like a 10 in like the last year.
Facts.
It's crazy.
Because as when the going gets tough, he don't want to be out there. Like I said, Spurs, he was like, all right, we getting packed in. I don't want to play no more. So let me get myself sent off. That's terrible, the fact that I'm saying that. Like the Anfield game away, Fenerbahce away, and you mentioned the Hoyland post. I don't really pay too much attention to posts, and he did apologize afterwards, but it just shows the lack of self-awareness off and on the pitch. The terrible decision. Manchester United players don't just make bad decisions on the pitch, they make bad decisions off the pitch. Self-awareness on the pitch, terrible. Self-awareness off the pitch, terrible. No one ever holds themselves accountable. But then I'll be critical, or other content creators will be critical, or people on social media will be critical, or mainstream the media will be critical, and then they want to criticize us. How about you lot just perform better? You performed awful. I don't want to be sat here saying how bad you lot have been. But this is the first season ever this season that I wrote off before it started. I legit said this. I will see you lot in 2025, 26, because we're doing nothing of note. Nothing of note. And lo and behold, we're even 2-4 months into the season, and everyone's like, the manager needs to go. Oh, it's all terrible. It's pretty much the same team with the exact same manager. Why was it going to be any different? That's what made no sense to me. But
Flawless, I've got a question for you because expectations can change. If you've got new evidence put in front of you, let's say, because I think it will happen, Ten Hag gets sacked within the next 4 or 5 days, right? And then you do appoint Ruud as interim, and not only performances get better, results improve, because it's all good having good performances, but if your results aren't there, like, sorry to mention Spurs again, but we saw Spurs, they've actually played well in the majority of their games, but their results haven't been there. So their fans are still frustrated. So if your performances and your results improve, I know you've kind of writ off the season, but that's obviously with the intel of and you had Ten Hag coming into the season. And let's say Nistelrooy gets the job, the next 2-3 months, you climb up the table, performance is getting better. Would you then reevaluate and say, you know what, we can actually achieve this, we can now achieve that, and you'll probably be more invested into the season again?
Oh, definitely more invested, because the goals are achievable. The sole reason why they weren't achievable was Ten Hag. You mentioned it already, Rums, that Manchester United, are we ready to go compete for a Premier League? No, we're not in the Champions League. I'm not daft. That's not my MO. That's not the aim. That's an unrealistic goal. But can we go out there and implement a system? Can we play good football? Yes. Can we be a cohesive unit and tough to beat? Can we go and win the Europa League? Absolutely, we can go and win the Europa League. Can we go win domestic cups? Well, we've won 2 in the last 2 years, so that's capable. So all of those things are still capable. And in the Europa League, the Champions League teams don't drop down. I'm not saying we will win it, but I'm saying we should be able to go and compete. Look at the teams that are in it. So there's no reason why we're not. So yeah, I would reevaluate and go, the season is still salvageable and we can still have success, because as bad as we've been under this manager last season, we still won a trophy. So if we're better, why can't we? And the players, even though they're not of a certain level, they're not this bad. They're nowhere near this bad.
No, I agree with that. I think there's a definite few managers I know that can come in there and get you playing better than you are at the moment. That's for sure. Listen, people, do me a favor, man. There's 350 of you in here. Please make sure you hit the like button. please make sure you hit the subscribe button, please. We're getting close to the 3-0 now, so let's get towards 30k. So many of you that are watching have not liked, so please make sure you've liked and subscribed to the channel if you haven't done so already. Listen, I've got to say, this game at the weekend, Billy, you must be playing Manchester United at a good time and off the back of what was an incredible night at Villa Park, bro.
Yeah, we probably are playing United at the perfect time, and I'm hopeful that we will have a perfect outcome for a Villa perspective, obviously. However, it's still Man United who just seem to be a bogey team for us. They've got an amazing, from a Villa point of view, it's an awful record. We've got an awful record against them at Villa Park, away from home as well. And so, yeah, I mean, last season's a prime example. We lost to them twice at Old Trafford. It was 2-0 up, cruising at half time. They come back and win 3-2. It was, it's just things like this. It just creeps into my pessimistic Villa fan thinking that I can't get away from. And so, yeah, I'm not confident at all because it is Man United. I'll be as blunt as that. And it's Aston Villa and it's Man United. So I'm not confident about it at all. I just hope that we can put a perfect week together with a win at home to Bayern Munich, a win at home to Man United, going into the international break sky high with confidence and just overall feeling around the club. Because that night on Wednesday night was the best night of my life at Villa Park. It was full stop. It was just unbelievable. The atmosphere, the result, the performance, the layers on top of it, 150 years. Bayern Munich being the team that we beat in the 1982 Cup final as well, with it being the same score as well. There's so many layers on that night that made it so special. So yeah, to cap it off with a win against the week off with a win against Man United would be huge. But like I say, it's Man United. They're the bogey team of Aston Villa. And for that reason, I'm not confident. I'm just praying that the United players down tools and think one more loss and this clown's gone. That's what I'm praying for. And that's what I'm hoping for. And hopefully, like I say, we can put a performance that can get us over the line.
Hey, Billy,
You know
Yeah,
what?
you got nothing to worry about, Billy. That's all I'm gonna say. You got nothing to. I hear what you're saying about our record being great there. That whole It's United is done with this guy. You got nothing to worry about. Trust me.
But I would like to think that we're a different animal nowadays, and I think we are to a certain extent. But those typical Aston Villa, it'd just be classic Villa to beat Bayern Munich and to lose to Man United to cap off what would be a nice week. You know, we had the opportunity to go top last Christmas, to go top for Christmas, and we bottled it at home to Sheffield United after beating Man City and Arsenal a couple of weeks before. It's things like that. It's just typical Aston Villa, and this would be typical Aston Villa to lose to United as well. So, yeah, I'd like to hope that we're a different animal, but I'm not getting my hopes up too much either.
I've got two questions for you, Rat. And I know obviously you've already kind of previewed the United game, but irrespective of it being United, and like I forgot, I remember watching that game. You went 2-0 up and then losing at Old Trafford and then losing at home as well. But irrespective of it being United, do you just think you could have possibly a hangover as well? Because, like you said, so much energy, so much emotion went into Wednesday night. It was a fantastic result for you lot. Do you think the players might be? I know it's not an excuse, but just might be a bit hungover from that result.
Possibly. However, I think Unai Emery and I think he said it perfectly in his post on Instagram the night of the game. He said that night was perfect, but tomorrow we go back to work. And I think the players will be in that mindset of tomorrow we go back to work. There's still a job to be done against Man United. And so I'm hopeful that is the case. But yeah, absolutely. I think the players could be tired. They could be worn out. It was the major thing that I noticed against that game against Bayern Munich was the difference in level, the speed and everything was so much quicker, the speed of play. And that is the level that you go into in the Champions League. Just everything that Bayern Munich were doing was so quick. The fact that we were able to play like we did, was immense from a Villa perspective. But yeah, I do think that the players could be a little bit tired, and that could be the hangover that you're talking about. But I think in terms of it being the mentality, I think that we'll be all right with that. I think the players and Emery know there's still a job to be done on Sunday.
Second question, because me and both Dans, we were on Pete's channel a couple of days ago and we spoke about this, but is there a way of Duran and Watkins both being incorporated? Because Duran, we need to start. Well, I know he's already been given his flowers, but this guy's a joke. And you're one of the first Villa. Actually, you're the only Villa fan I know. I don't know why I'm saying that. You're literally the only one I know. But you've called it out earlier. I've seen a few tweets of yours, and when Watkins ain't playing well, there's even been some games where you've opted for Duran to start. But don't you think it's got to the stage now where you can't ignore his form? And I think it was Chelsea fan Dan the other day that did say some players might just be better coming off the bench as opposed to starting. But I think you can't ignore his form. I think Unai Emery might, maybe not necessarily for Sunday, but he might have to find a way to incorporate both of them because he's off 100%. The hook now. And it's a win-win for you now because where I think you quoted Chelsea and West Ham 40 million in the summer. Now you could probably go up to 60 or 70.
And the rest.
Double that, at least bare minimum double that.
Yeah, they're 80 now, man. 80. But I was going to ask that as well, Bill, because for me, could you play Bailey, Rodgers, or Ramsey, whoever the two out of the three you want wide, and then put Watkins and Duran with Tielemans and Onana?
Well, all right. So that team against Bayern Munich, say, let's replace Philogene for Bailey in an ideal situation. You got Ramsey, Bailey, Tielemans, Onana, Rodgers, and Watkins. Where does Duran fit in? Because you can't drop Rodgers.
No, you can't drop Rodgers. So I'm saying, could you push Rodgers wide and go more 4-4-2 and drop one of your wide men?
This is what I think we might do against Man United purely because Jacob Ramsey's a doubt for the game. With Jacob Ramsey being a doubt for the game, obviously going off against Bayern Munich, I think, like we saw at times last year, I think we could see Rodgers go out on the wing. And I think this could be the weekend that we see Watkins and Duran start together.
We're going to start them together or we're going to get cooked.
I think so. Look, I think this is going to be the option, I think, if Jacob Ramsey misses the game. Because the only other thing would be if Onana's fully fit. Obviously, he went off as well with a slight hamstring injury. If Onana's fully fit, do we play Barkley next to Onana and push Tielemans a little bit forward, like we did at times last year, to get that control of the midfield a little bit stronger? There's a few options with the injuries that we've got at the minute. There's a few different options with how we could line up against Man United, but I do certainly think that it could be a possibility to see Duran and Watkins start together. The thing I would say is I don't think that it will be something that, unless we completely tear it up, I don't think it's something that we'll see continue on into the season. I'm sure Emery's trying to come up with options and ways for it to continuously happen. Because, like you say, Roms, you can't get away from Duran's goal scoring and everything that he's doing. You can't look past that at all. And the form that he's in is incredible. And the thing is, he's a natural born goal scorer as well. But I think the thing is, for me, you've got Watkins there running defenders ragged for 60, 70 minutes. You've then got Duran coming on, a natural born finisher, a natural born goal scorer. So when those moments come, bang, he's going to take it against tired legs. And I think you saw it perfectly on Wednesday night. Watkins comes off. We kept on playing down that left-hand side. And Watkins being a right-footed player. First of all, I don't think he has the balls to take that shot on, to be honest with you. Second of all, like I say, he's right-footed, so it wasn't on his favoured side. You bring Duran on, who's been running Duran on for Watkins, who's been running Upamecano left, right, and centre, running him ragged. Duran comes on, you play that ball through, strong foot, a player that's got the confidence, a player that's balmy enough to take it on, bang, loops over Neuer, goal, 1-0. So I think, you've got that situation of Watkins putting in the hard yards and Duran getting the plaudits and getting the goals when it needs to happen. I think because you've still got Watkins there, who's a good player. He's a really good player, but at times, as everyone on this panel probably knows, and as the audience knows, because I say it every week on pretty much every week on the Race for Europe, Watkins isn't a natural born finisher. He misses chances, and it's the most infuriating aspect of him. Last season, he shut me up. I couldn't say a thing because of his goal scoring, and he was just doing it week in, week out. Pardon me. But this season against Arsenal, he scores those 2 opportunities. I think we go on and win the match. And that would have been 5 wins out of 5 going into the Ipswich game. I think his confidence is on another level. Confidence around the club is on another level. And maybe we don't go on to lose that, to draw that game. It feels like a loss, but maybe we don't go on to draw that game. We go on to actually win it. Who knows? So yeah, that's the only thing about Watkins. But I think his off the ball work in terms of running the defenders ragged does go a little bit unnoticed. And I think we're at a situation where if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah,
Watkins
look,
is
there is
doing
another
the hard
scenario.
yards to tie those defenders out, and Duran's coming on and getting the goals to win us the games. If it's
Yeah,
not broke,
that's the
don't
other
fix
scenario is you don't touch it, because at the moment Duran's coming on and he's scoring. So like, why would you try and force it in when at the moment it's getting you wins, particularly against the teams you're beating? So that could be the case, man. Look, I think this would be a convincing win for Villarreal. I fancy him to win 3-1. I don't really see anything other than a Villa win here. Anybody on the panel disagree?
That's my same scoreline. I think 3-1 Villa.
Yeah, I never predict us to lose, so I'm gonna say 1-1. But that's my hope and expectation. You already know,
mate. That keep Ten Hag in, bro.
Yeah, what? See the conundrum I have.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? It is mad. Look, I want to come to the last section of the show with Liverpool, Chelsea, and Arsenal. Not much to say on them, other than I think Chelsea. If I'm honest with you, Dan, looking at that Conference League, if you don't win that Conference League this season, my goodness. I know Villa got a lot of stick last year, but wow. This team, I mean, honestly, we were on LB's show just laughing at some of the actual opponents in that group. So I wanted to ask you on your thoughts on that and about top 4, because Palmer has given you a massive shout of getting top 4 this season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Conference League, first and foremost, I'm still holding my sort of want of semi-final, but at the same time,
wait, what, Dan? What did you say, Dan?
Before a ball was
please,
kicked,
you're my guy, Dan. Please,
no, hang on.
Why?
Even I said last year.
Hear me out.
I'm just baffled. Go on, sorry, my bad.
Before a ball was kicked, Maresca had never managed in European competition. I didn't know who was going to be signed, and I said I want semi-final as an absolute minimum in that competition. I still stand by that. I still expect us to be good enough to win it, but nothing's given in football and anything can happen. And look at Aston Villa. They lost to Olympiacos but beat Bayern Munich. If anything can be thrown up in football. So you just don't know how it's going to go with injuries and everything like that. But I expect Chelsea to be there or thereabouts, because in recent years, that's what we've done in European competition. In terms of the top 4, I fully believe if we continue like this, we're going to give ourselves an unbelievable chance, because we are scoring goals at such an unbelievable rate, no matter who plays for us at the moment. I don't understand how we're going to struggle to get top 4 scoring at this rate, because you can't. If this continues, you get top 4 football. There's nothing else to say about it. You will outscore pretty much every team you play. If there's 16 teams below you, if you finish in the top 4. No, that's not even the right math. Is that the right math? Yeah. We'll outscore. Yeah, we'll outscore 16 teams. So that'll win us games. So yeah, I've been impressed. I've been really impressed with Maresca,
bro. I think you'll absolutely walk this conference.
We should do, shouldn't we? But it wouldn't like.
No,
you just don't know, like, huh?
Yeah, that's just for the group stage bit. He's back in the knockout rounds. Yeah. He's back in the knockout rounds.
It all depends. I'm sure if we push on in that competition, we'll start to see less rotation than 11 changes like we did last night, because Maresca will favour it. But ultimately, we're in an unbelievably blessed position right now to be able to do that and still score 4 goals off the back of scoring 4 against Brighton. I mean, it's sensational form, and I hope it continues. And yeah, Cole Palmer is obviously a massive positive in that, but there's a lot of other players as well that are stepping up to the plate. I think Nkunku is probably the biggest talking point at Chelsea for me, because there's a lot of quality in Nkunku, and a player that could I think he's the absolute answer to the Julian Alvarez departure at Manchester City, by the way. I said that a while ago, and I still believe that I think he'd be unbelievable to come in and play that role. And I think if he's not playing by the time January rolls around, there's going to be discussions about him and having a move, because he scored 7 goals already this season. And every time he plays, he looks like scoring.
He's better than Jackson, in my opinion, in front of goal. Better than Jackson.
He's on a different level of quality to Jackson. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
He is.
He's so clinical.
Do you know what, Dan? In terms of you and your top 4 aspirations, I had you top 4 before Paul got kicked. I had you top 4 last season. Not because people have this perception that you have to be good defensively to get top 4. You don't. I think we've seen the last 4 seasons have had 4 different top 4, so you don't have to be defensively good. I think United's been in there, Villa's been in there, Newcastle's been in there. We even dropped out one year. Do you know what I mean? Top 4 to go for a title objective is different. You have to be defensively solid, but you're very reminiscent of Liverpool in Klopp's first early days, where we're winning games 4-3s, 5-4s, 4-2s, 3-2s, and you're seeing it now because as much as you're scoring goals in abundance, you're conceding pretty much every game. I think you've only kept 1 or 2 clean sheets. Correct me if I'm wrong. This season.
I feel like we concede pretty much on average. It's probably like 1.5 goals a game we're conceding. If you looked at the stats, like there've been so many games where we've conceded 2 goals and only a couple where we've managed to not concede or just let in 1. So
have you kept a clean sheet yet?
Yeah, we did against Bournemouth.
Oh yes, and then
even against Wolves, we went into that game 2 at half time, and then we won it 6-2. Last night, 2 sloppy mistakes. Brighton sloppy mistakes. Palace, obviously, we ended up conceding there against Eze. So yeah, it's been difficult for Chelsea defensively to have a little bit of momentum in terms of fighting and keeping that clean sheet, and that's an issue for me, because I think against better teams, if we can't outscore them, and our mistakes are still creeping in there defensively, then I worry whether or not we'll be able to win those games. And going forward as well, in cup competitions, if you concede off of a sloppy mistake or something like that, that can be the game done, and you might not get a second chance in a cup competition as well to rectify that. So that's probably why I'm just sort of hoping that side of things gets fixed pretty sharpish, to be honest with you. That's probably the only issue I've got with Maresca that I don't think's been addressed fully yet. Other than that, every issue I've seen arise, he's pretty much rectified already.
I agree, man.
Let me ask him just quickly, just back to the Conference League. What teams worry you in that competition?
Yeah, I was going to.
None actually. I don't think any in a one-off game or anything like that. I don't think any of them worry me. I just think football's uncertain. Football's not written. Nothing's a given. I expected Aston Villa to win that competition with ease. Emery's won 4 Europa League trophies, and he didn't win it. And I was absolutely shocked. And I couldn't believe who they lost to last season. Anything can happen.
To be fair, the teams that we played are all playing. Well, a lot of the teams that we played are all playing higher competition this year. Lille beating Real Madrid in the Champions League, for example.
That's what I mean.
I'm not going to go into
anything
that.
We
played harder teams than you. Don't worry.
And do you know what as well, Dan? Right, this is just off the top of my head. There's context for this because when Villa were in it, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm just going to assume probably the teams that you were facing, whatnot, had dropped down from the Europa League, where you've got no one dropping down. So I feel, not going to say there kind of is no excuse, but I feel like that just makes it that 10-20% easier to win. And I would say there's not that much difference in quality between Chelsea and Villa, but if I had to pick one, I'd say you've got slightly more. They've got a more better system, but you've got slightly more quality than them. So I feel like I do think you win this. I understand your reservation, but I do think you win this. And I agree with Dan Potts. I think you win this quite easily as well. I know, again, there's no guarantees in football, but
I agree.
I look at the teams in it, and other than I think Fiorentina and Betis, you should be winning that. And even them too. I don't even know why I'm saying that.
We obviously played Servette, didn't we? And we lost 2-1 out of the blue, out of nothing. So this is what I mean, is that it takes one slip and the tie can obviously switch to the other way. But
Dan,
I'd
big
love you not
context,
to win
though.
it. It'd be hilarious. If you
As
don't.
much as it would be
Yeah.
funny if you didn't win it, I just cannot see you not winning it with all
No,
the firepower.
I think
you
we
have.
we probably
It's the
have the best
firepower.
chance. We have the
Yeah,
best
that-
chance out of anyone. But I
Yeah.
guess just when it comes to me casting my judgment, I won't sit here and say that we will go and win that competition 100%, because I just think there's too much that's still a little bit uncertain at Chelsea right now. The guys had 6 to 8 games really of a competitive nature.
Yeah.
And I can't sit here and say, oh, this is what the future looks like. It's written. If we'd had Maresca in all of last season as well, and we knew what to expect, I could probably sit there and say it with a little bit more chest. But I don't know. I don't know how he's going to navigate fixture rotation if injuries crop up. I don't know how he'll apply his priorities if it gets into the final stages of the season and we're fighting for a title or top 4. You just never know what could happen if we carry on in this form. Bigger questions get asked, and if you're guaranteed top 4 and you're guaranteed Champions League 4 months down the line, does the Conference League remain a priority if you're fighting for something bigger than that? Because this is,
you know what, Dan?
you don't know
I think
what's
on
on the
accident.
horizon.
I think on accident.
I'll tell you right now, as if we're, but say 3 months down the line, we get this shock of, I don't know if any of you have seen it, but the last 10 games of Chelsea's, 5 of those are horrendous games. If we're in a run-in, my priority would be switched from the Conference League to the Premier League run-in, because I'd rather win a Prem title than the Conference League.
Of course.
So that's what I mean. If he rotated a squad and it
would you rather top 4?
Night, what, in the Conference League?
Yeah.
I would. I said
Fair enough.
if we finish 5th, I expect us to do semi-final in the Conference League and win a domestic trophy. That's what I said at the beginning of the season, and that's an improvement in every angle of last year. And if you sack your manager,
get top 4
I
and win
expect
that
improvement.
Conference League, that's a good season for Chelsea, man. If you win a trophy and get top 4, that's a really good season. Considering,
Yeah, I agree. That'd be really good.
That'd be amazing to me, man. But yeah, let's see what happens. Listen, we've got to move, but wanted to close on Liverpool. Not much to say on Arsenal other than Ramsdale returns. He'll get a good reception. Everyone's talking about us defensively being good, and I expect to see a convincing win tomorrow. So that's all I'm going to say on Arsenal. But for Liverpool, Roms, we're going to see what this team is made of, aren't we, in the next coming months, mate? Because I'm going to read out your fixtures, bro. This is from your fixtures from tomorrow onwards, right the way through to December, right? You got Palace away, Chelsea at home, Leipzig away, Arsenal at the Emirates, Brighton away, then Brighton at home because you've got them Cup and then League. Then you've got Bayer Leverkusen at home, Aston Villa at home. Then you go away to Southampton, but then you've got Real Madrid at home, Man City at home, Newcastle away, and then the Merseyside derby. What the hell is going on with those fixtures, man? We're going to see what Slot's made of, bro.
And the thing is, listen, as a fan, you do relish these games. Maybe not consecutively like that, but you do relish. you do relish these games, and this is why, you know me, I'm quite bad. So I try and keep my feet on the ground because we started. Bar the Forest game that I actually went to, the one game I go to, we lose.
No, you need to keep going, fam. You went to the Forest game. Yeah, you need to go back, man. We need you back, yo. We need you back there, yo. We need you back there, yo.
Do you know what's so bad, Forest? All the other times I went, I never lose. But this one, it's actually giving me kind of PTSD. Maybe I shouldn't go for the rest of the season. But other than the Forest game, went to San Siro unscathed. Say what you want about Manchester United. Flores will know this. We've gone there with better teams the season we've won Champions League and Prem, and we got 2 consecutive draws. So say what you want about Man United. I've always concerned before we go there, and we went there and kept a clean sheet. But the other games, and you said it a couple of days ago, Potts, we're expected to win. This is why I'm going to praise Slot, because my main plaudits for Slot is how defensively solid we look. Because our last 2 seasons under Klopp, we weren't. I was actually saying maybe the last 3. Ever since our title winning season, we've never really looked at defensively solid under Klopp, but we had quality in abundance. However, I would say we've looked more defensively solid in our last 8 games than we had in our past 2 seasons. However, like you said, Potts, we've not really been tested. We've not, and that's why I try and tell my fan base to kind of just calm down, try and keep a lid on it, because I'm really going to see what this team's about from now till Christmas. I'm really going to see it. Like I said, I'm impressed. And I think a sign of a good manager is improving players. I actually wanted Diaz sold, not because he's a bad player, but I never thought his output would improve. And I wanted to make some money back in, because you know who our owners are. We don't really spend too much unless we really have to. And I thought if we can recruit some money off Diaz, but again, you get proven wrong. I have to shut up because he started this season sublime, but he's improved Diaz. Konate, I've always said, quality defender, but he has lapses in concentration. He engages when he doesn't have to. That seems to be ironed out his game. But I know he made a little mistake against Wolves, but that was more communication with him and Alisson. It wasn't really solely down to him. But he's improved Diaz. He's improved Konate, and I think the obvious one is Ryan Gravenberch. I've always said he's had quality there, but in a Klopp system, he was never really going to benefit. It was a lot of running for him. We left him as a sole pivot where he plays better with a McAllister next to him, because them two don't even press. We have our four pressing, and we keep them two just behind the ball, protecting our back four, and that's why we were solid this season as well. But again, like I just said on Saeed's channel, my expectation still is to challenge. You can't have the players we have and just be settling for top four. However, I still think we're a step below because of the common denominator of the manager. Similar to what Dan was saying, I've not had a big sample size of 2, 3, 4 seasons under Slot to know what he's going to do when he faces adversity and whatnot. So, yeah, I think we will challenge for this league title, but fans saying we'll win it and we look better than Arsenal and we can go toe-to-toe with City and Arsenal, maybe in one-off games, but over a stretch of a season, you can't say that just yet. This is literally his first season, but yeah, we're really going to see what we're about, Potts, man. I'm actually looking forward to it because, again, the teams we faced, it was expected. I'll say bar 2 in AC Milan and United. I know Flores might attest to that, but AC Milan and United, the other 6...
Yeah. I get your point.
Yeah, it was expected.
Look, man, I've got to ask the panel. Lastly, Salah, Alisson, Van Dijk, and Trent. Like, none of their futures are settled at the moment. Like, 3 of them in the last year of their contract, which for me is absolutely criminal from the board. How you can potentially let those guys go on a free transfer other than Alisson is absolutely criminal. Mamardashvili's come in, so it looks like Alisson could no longer be the number 1. I imagine Mamardashvili's not coming in to sit on the bench. So I don't know what you think as a panel, but how many of these players are going to be Liverpool players in the past this summer?
Who was the 4 you named? Alisson, Trent, Salah, and who?
Our 4 world-class players, Flores, are literally our 4 world-class players.
Oh, yeah, because Alisson is I didn't know about it. Yeah, that's crazy. Sorry, go on. Yeah, that's mad.
I don't know what you guys think, because I feel like Trent could go Real Madrid. I feel like he's done a lot at Liverpool, 25 years old, won everything. Salah, I mean, for me, it just takes a big Saudi move to tempt him with money. I think Van Dijk is probably looking at his career thinking maybe he'll just sign an extension and stay at Liverpool unless there is massive interest. I'm not sure how much interest there is. And Alisson, I mean, I thought he'd stay at Liverpool, but if this keeper's coming in, then clearly they're looking at getting rid of him, right? So I don't know that it's good for Liverpool. I think personally what will happen is they'll all look at what happens this season. They'll look at what trophies Liverpool win, how competitive they are. If Liverpool are floating around the title race, maybe they'll go, do you know what? Let's get behind Slot and we'll stay and we'll go and give it another go. Otherwise, I think if it ain't looking like that and it looks like City and Arsenal are too far ahead and Liverpool aren't looking competitive in trophies, Champions League, whatnot, then I think they might want a new challenge. I don't know what you boys think though, man.
I think Trent and Van Dijk will be Liverpool players. I think the other 2 I can see going. I think Alisson's probably had enough of Emi Martinez being the number 1 keeper in the world. Ready to step down.
I like Billy. I like that. I like that, Billy.
You're cheeky.
I like that, Billy. I'm gonna use that line. I'm gonna quote you when I use it. I like that. Yeah.
No, I genuinely though, I do think I can see him going. I think that was probably the plan when they bought Mamardashvili, that he'd be on his way. So I can see him going. And like you say, Potts, I think Saudi with Salah, it was always going to happen, I think. And so yeah, I can see him going as well. I think I think Van Dijk will stay there. And I think Trent will probably say, now I want to be a 1 club player and stay where he is. The temptation of Real Madrid will obviously be there because it's Real Madrid and look at the players that they've got. But especially, I think if this is all based on Liverpool doing well this season as well, by the way, and by well, I mean being in that top 3. If they drop down to 4th and someone leapfrogs them, whether it's Villa or whoever, I think that'll be slightly disappointing from Liverpool perspective, even if they do finish 4th. I think if they finish in that top 3, then Van Dijk and Trent will stay. If they don't maybe Trent will go to Real Madrid, but I can see Van Dijk staying there. I'd be very surprised if he was to go, because I don't know really who he would go to at his age, to be honest with you.
Saudi. All roads lead to Saudi for
but I don't know whether Van Dijk, he doesn't come across as that kind of player to me, if you know what I mean. I think he'd rather from this is just me knowing nothing about him. From my perception of him, he seems too proud in a way to go to Saudi. I think if anything, it would probably be more the MLS or something like that, that where he would go, if anywhere. But I think he'd probably rather see out his last few years in Europe. That's just how I see it anyway.
You know what, Billy, as well, like centre backs and keepers have more longevity. So like I'm not surprised. I can see from an outside perspective why he thinks Trent stays, but I've been telling my fan base to brace themselves, because his best friend's out there. He's a Liverpool legend at 25, won everything there is to win. Sometimes as a footballer, you just want a new challenge. Big up Grizz. I always have to shout out Grizz, but he's telling me, Rom, stay calm. He's definitely saying.
Of course, Grizz is telling you that, man. I know Grizz well enough. Of course, Grizz is telling you that, man.
Grizz is saying to me.
Wait, let me guess. Grizz has said all 4 of them are staying.
No, he hasn't.
Who's he said?
The one he said to me, the one he said he's definitely going to stay is Trent. We've not spoke about Salah and Van Dijk or Alisson yet, but because to be fair, I've not really spoke to him about the other 3. I'm actually going to ask him, actually, Floyd. I'll get back to you.
Ask him,
I'm going to ask him. But
Trent, when you do ask him, Grizz, can you? Sorry, Roms, can you ask Grizz how Jude Bellingham and Zubimendi are doing at Liverpool as well while you're at it?
Let me guess. Should I ask Kai Sater and the rest, and Lavia and should I chuck
You know what? I was gonna. If it was anyone else by you, Roms, representing Liverpool, I would have made that joke. You know what I'm saying? I was ready to name them names and list it off. I was gonna let it go though.
That's the thing with me. That's the thing with me, Flores.
Bro, I love him. But
that's the thing with me and Flores, because we hate each other's clubs, but where we both very honest, it's hard to cook one another.
It's hard. That's why, because you balanced about it. Like I wanted you to be like, we're gonna go win the league, and now you just very much keep our feet on the ground. Let's go and challenge and see what. it is.
Man.
Not we're winning it all. So
and see where it goes. But the thing with Trent, right? I think the majority of the fan base won't begrudge him for going Real Madrid. I think if he went to another English team, a City or Arsenal or Chelsea or whatnot, then you saw what we did to Gerrard in 05. Dan's very aware of that. We wouldn't have let him go. But the fact he's going to Madrid, the pinnacle of football, friends are out there. The things with Liverpool at the start of the season, it's we're looking to win the big 2, but Real Madrid is a definite. You're going to win one of the big 2. Where Liverpool is more of a question, where it's more of a guarantee at Madrid. So I just feel. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. You think I want the player in his prime, one of us, leaving? But I just know how football can work. And I feel like loyalty is kind of getting eased out the game. I think you're now going to look at what's best for your career and whatnot. And listen, Real Madrid is the pinnacle. I've said that Salah and Van Dijk out of the 4 will stay. I think the fact that we've loaned out Mamrajef really to come in next summer, I think we'll recruit 20, 30 million from Saudi, or I think Bayern Munich are linked with him as well. And I think even Inter link confused me, because they got Jan Sommer doing quite well. But I don't know how credible it is. I saw Inter linked with him. But I think Van Dijk, he wants another 3-year extension, and I think he's not asking for his wage to be increased too much. So I think he stays, and I think Salah stays. But Alisson and Trent are the 2 I think do leave.
What's your score prediction for tomorrow, Roms?
3-1. Palace is notoriously tough for us, but I think we win. I think we win that 3-1. Obviously, they got Mateta that's playing decent. Eze. The thing is, I don't like jinxing it, but Eze's not had the best start to the season. But remember, their last game against us, they beat us. Like they're the ones who basically.
They beat you like 1-0. Yeah, exactly. I remember that. Yeah. I remember that.
The thing is, even the last 5 games, we've had a draw at Anfield to Palace. We had a draw the season before that. It's not the easiest ground to go to, but I think the way we're playing, how defensively solid. Like I said to you a couple of days ago, Potts. Everyone can wax lyrical about Gabriel and Saliba, but statistically, we are the best defense in the league. Yeah. Only conceding 1 goal. So I think. That's the main flaw that I have of Slot. Forget the goals and whatnot. We know what our attack's been like the last 4 or 5 years. It's just how defensively solid. But I'm going 3-1, Potts, man. I'm going 3-1. I think they even take the lead. I can see early morning kickoffs us starting a bit slow. We did it against Ipswich, even though we didn't concede. But I think they'll score, and then we'll make it 1-1, and then just take the game. We'll just be cruise control for the rest.
Interesting, man. Lastly, Dan, what are you saying for Chelsea Forest, bro?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good test, actually. I think Forest will sit back. I think they'll defend in a lower block than we've seen most teams do against us. So I'm really excited to see how we manage that. And I think that'll give me a better picture going forwards. I think we'll have too much for him. I think we'll win it. I'm not sure whether Cole Palmer will score 4, but yeah, I think a 2-1. I can see him scoring. I can see Callum Hudson-Odoi scoring again. He did last year, and I just wouldn't be surprised if he did. We still got some issues defensively. So yeah, I think we've got a good chance against Forest, but they have been difficult to play against this season, as Liverpool know.
Yeah, interesting, man.
No, I'm not. That's not a dig, Roms. But you found it tough, right? Like, you found it tough. They're a good side for us.
We did. Have they even lost? They're still unbeaten.
I don't know if they've lost.
No, they have.
Yeah, they lost to Fulham now. Yeah,
they lost.
Oh yeah.
Fulham are doing well.
You lot beat Palace. Palace ain't even won yet this season, man. Palace ain't still won a game.
Palace,
Yeah, but never back the early kickoff with that one, by the
way.
Same.
I never. There's something about that.
I want you, man, to be right, but I can only see a Liverpool winning that game.
Yeah, same. They're terrible at the moment.
Palace are passive, man.
Which is crazy considering how good they finished last season, isn't it? The fall off's quite massive.
Elise, they've only really lost Anderson and Elise. I mean, they have
a big miss.
Good players, but Anderson as well. But you know, I didn't think it'd be that much of a loss, but it is.
I was going to say quickly, I know obviously we kind of skimmed over Arsenal, but I think there's one thing tomorrow that you would want, and that's a clean sheet, because I don't know what it is. You're better away from home than at home. You always concede a goal or two. So I do think you'll win tomorrow. I think you win quite comfortably. I've gone 3-1 because you can't seem to keep a clean sheet.
Bro, do you know what? I've gone 4-1 because I believe we're going to concede. At home, we always seem to. It's weird. Like, we've got a brilliant defense. I'm not denying that. And we've got great away from home. We can go and keep a clean sheet at Villa Park, but we can't keep a clean sheet at home to Leicester. Like, what's going on here? It's bizarre. So
it's because I bought Gabriel. I've now got 2 defenders in my fantasy league, so I jinxed you.
You've jinxed me. Cheers, Billy.
I'm gonna leave
Villa to start getting some clean sheets, mate.
I know. We can't. The only 2 clean sheets we've kept been in the Champions League. Yet to concede a goal in the Champions League.
That's mad.
Do you think it's fair to say by the next time we all speak, we would have seen the first managerial sacking of the Prem season?
100%.
If it's not Ten Hag, is it Russell Martin?
Yeah.
One of them. Russell Martin is Ten Hag, man. It's Ten Hag. He's this time.
I hope it is.
It's over, man. It's
done.
I
hope it is? I hope we beat you, but I kind of hope that it's not the last nail in the coffin.
It'll be Ten Hag, man, this weekend. I'm sure of it. I'm sure it'll be gone.
Just before you round up, I'm going to chuck another name in the mix. I know they've just won their first game, but if Newcastle beat Everton quite well, do you think maybe Dyche in the international break, or is it still a bit too early?
And they got new ownership.
I don't know what I would say.
Exactly, so that plays a part.
Yeah, you know what? If they
are they in the door yet?
Yeah.
There's rumors that they want. What was it today? They want Jose. Yeah, Jose. They want Jose.
Run Mo. Yeah. Jose.
What's mad as well? Moyes has been linked back to Everton as well. They've only won one game this season.
I rate Moyes. I think that's a good gaffer right there.
Yeah,
I think Moyes at Everton makes sense. You know, just go back.
If Moyes is given the right environment, he's always done really well.
Yeah, he'll do fine there. But just for the chaos purposes and content creator purposes, we need Mourinho back.
We do.
Just for his press conferences alone.
He's my favorite manager of all time. So did you see that it was? I don't know. I think it was like last week or a couple of weeks ago.
About the laptop.
He was showing the referee on the mistake that he made.
You know what's the worst? That player was Edin Dzeko as well, mate. Like, that's a proper Premier League throwback, isn't it?
Exactly.
That's a proper Barclays man. That one, isn't it?
Hey, big up, man. Listen, lads, legends. Make sure you're staying well put, because we're redirecting over to Flawless, who's going to go live now. So please make sure you don't go anywhere. Smash the likes, hit the subscribe, people. Make sure you're following That's Me Flawless. Make sure you're following AV Billy, BDB Dan, and of course Roms on his Twitter handle there as well. And listen, we're going to be back over the weekend. I know it's internationals after this, but there will be content, trust me. So please make sure you stay tuned, heading over to Flawless. Big up to every single one of you. And we'll see you next time. Big up, people.